Good evening, everyone. Imagine you are auditing a company and the CFO says, "Trust me, everything is fine." As an auditor, will you trust or will you test?
Will test.
Yeah, so that's exactly where audit evidence comes in. Today, we begin chapter 5 Audit Evidence. Now, many of you might feel we have already studied this chapter at intermediate level 501, 505, 510, 530, and 550 earlier. You already know what audit evidence is. It is not no longer about knowing what the audit evidence is. It is about how to apply it in practice. If the debtor confirmations are not received, how would you proceed? In a first year audit, can you rely on previous auditors' work? Or how do you deal with related party transactions? They are case scenario based dilemmas, auditor studies, scenarios, and analytical examples. We will revisit the essays you already know, but this time with the lens of application. So you will see how place and always demanding professional skepticism. So let's dive into audit evidence, not merely as a revision of procedures, but as an engagement. So, Harshad sir, let's start with chapter number 5 Audit Evidence.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session on chapter number 5. So, as ma'am correctly said, and ma'am specified the importance of this chapter, audit evidence. See, when we are doing the audit, we have seen till now what the planning is, what the strategy is, what next step is to understand how to get the audit evidence. See, when we talk about the term audit evidence, we talk about sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Okay, when I talk about the term audit evidence, we always use sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Now, what is the sufficient? What is the appropriate? You already know that quantity and the quality. The of audit evidence. No, not like that. The way to do and to gather the audit evidence, to gather the relevant information to which can enable you say sufficient validate the financial statements. It is free from material misstatement. Now you can say, okay, because of this piece of paper, because of the procedures that I have performed, I have came to a conclusion that okay, this at least number is appropriate. This number is free from material misstatement. So once you will gather all such evidences based on the procedures that you will perform, then only you can say that okay, now I have a sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Are you getting the point? So when we now in chapter number 5 or now from chapter 6 and 7, we will see how audit evidence is gathered and how that will be used in reporting also. Okay, so let's start the chapter. So what we will be dealing in this particular chapter, what we will be discussing. See, we will be starting with essay number 500, 501, 505, 510, 530, and 550. We'll take it to the 550. Very critical standards. Now, when I talk about essay 500, it is the pure audit evidence related standard. Then we will go to specific scenarios in 501. Then we will go to opening balances. We will go to external confirmations. We will go to other areas also, like we will see some of the analytical procedures already being discussed. But yeah, I will bring some aspect of that again back, and then we will see how in specific scenarios we need to gather the audit evidence. Okay, before I start and do a deep dive in these standards, anyone has any doubt from the previous sessions? Any doubt on the previous sessions or whatever we have discussed in the previous session? Any doubt? No? Okay, if no doubt, then okay, we can start. So we will start first with SA 500, which is basically talks about your audit evidence. Okay, when I talk about SA 500, it is the audit evidence. Now, this is a very important standard. This is a base standard for all the audit evidence. That means this standard provides like, okay, what is audit evidence? We called as an evidence, but how to gather that evidence, that is very important. Okay. Now, tell me, I'll ask you a simple question. Let's say you have started build responses that you want to do based on the risk assessment that you have performed. Now, let's say you started testing a particular area, let's say purchase, hypothetical example, purchase. So you started testing purchase invoices. Okay. What is the first thing you will do before you start the testing purchases? Like if I have to ask you, okay, you now need to do test of details of purchases, how you will do, what will be the steps involved in this? What are the steps that you will perform for testing of purchases in test of details? Forget risk assessment, forget your test of controls. I'm just asking test of details, substantive testing. When you're doing for purchase, what are the steps that you will follow? Simple. Anyone? It's a pretty straightforward question. No, yeah.
Firstly, collect all the purchases made during the audit period, and collect all the purchases entries. We will check whether the price is correct and quantity purchase order as per the purchase order received, and GRN we will check it out,
Hmm.
and three-way matching as we discussed, purchase order, invoice, and the GRN.
Okay.
The authorization also we will check it out. DOU,
Authorization. Okay.
yeah, and the segregation of duties also we will verify it. Maker checker concept.
Understood. Okay. Make a checker concept. Fine. So when I talk about, let's say, purchase, you are like, you are talking about that you will test the purchase, you'll gather all the purchases. What do you mean by gathering all the purchases?
So all the purchases in then said what is the time of audit. So example, if the assignment is given for a whole year audit, then the whole
Hmm.
year period, the month wise we will collect it. And say example, if the audit is going to assigned for 1 year, say example 24, 25, 1
Hmm.
4 24 to 31st March 2025, during that is a period. If it is a quarterly, that quarterly period. If it is a monthly audit, the monthly period.
Okay. Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, let's say for example, you ask the management. My question to all: let's say you ask the management. Management give us the list of all purchases. They provide you the list of all the purchases. What will be the next step? Like you ask the management. Management gave you the purchase register. Okay, these are all the list of purchases. Like for that particular period, it's like say let's say for a year, you are doing the audit for the year. Now what you will do? Just the next step.
And we will check for those purchase invoices, purchase copy, and that particular item, whether it is recorded correctly and the material received or not, whether the particular PO is there or not, and the vendor selection is as per the order when they are placing the purchase, and whether the goods is received, whether without receiving the goods, whether they recorded, all these things we will verify it. That only the particular item, the end to end we will check, verify it, how it is starting from the purchase order to receipt of the material and payment.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Very good. Okay, not an issue. Absolutely fine. Anyone else has a different answer to this? Like, apart from selection of samples, you will do something else. You will not select the samples and do something else. Mega, very good. Your one of the point is very relevant that you have mentioned. I'll come to that. Apart from the sample selection, anything that you will do. Apart from this sample selection, anything else that you will do? Now, my question, I'll reframe the question. How do you know that purchase register is correct or complete? I would say rather. How do you know that none of the items are missing from the purchase register that has been given to you? Let's say, for example, I deleted few items from that purchase register and I gave to you.
We will check that PO, what are the open POs, whether all the POs is correctly, whenever the PO is issued, whether all the POs are converted into the purchase. Based on that, that is one key point. Based on that, we will compare.
But in a lot of scenarios, you will find that, okay, we have a PO, we don't have a purchase invoice booked in front of that. Like a lot of times it can happen that, there is no being, we issued the PO, but there is no requirement of the material purchase. So in a practical scenario, there will be a lot of cases where you have an open PO, but no invoice in front of that.
Sir, we will do the security. See, whenever the goods are purchased from the factory or something, the first person to know the receipt of material is a security person. The security register, they will record everything.
Okay, fine. In case of, let's say, for example, goods still GRN, you are saying, okay, I will go with the GRN. Fine, accepted. But let's say, what if management says you, no, 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 we have not received the invoice yet. We have received the goods, but the invoices are not received. And how many identity line items you will identify like that? Will you go for each and every line item?
So as long as once the goods are received, that the invoice they may be giving it later. That's as soon as we started receiving the material, we are liable to pay, is right. So GRN is very important point role.
And think of a scenario where you are saying that we will not be able to verify whether the purchase register is correct or not, and accordingly, basically, the testing that you are going to start, how can you make sure that testing is appropriate? See, your starting point, that is the data on which you are drawing the samples. You are saying that there are chances that it might be incomplete.
Yes, sir.
And
Might be
how will you
incomplete.
do that?
Yeah, definitely there will be might be some chances are there, might not be recorded 100% transaction in the purchase register.
Yep.
That is
So
it.
in that case, do you think the testing that will be done will be appropriate if we are not able to do? See, again, Sanjay, to your question, you are talking about GST filings. Very good. Yes, there is one way to ensure completeness, but still there are unregistered purchases from unregistered parties. Okay. So that will not reflect in the GST filings. So if I'm doing from unregistered business or anyone else, I will not be able to get the detail. Like, these things will not be available. I'm just talking about the example of purchase. Let's say you are doing services. You are taking services from someone. There is no GRN. There is, like, for services, you can't have a GRN, number one. Number two, if you are taking services from the person who are unregistered, businesses who are unregistered, how will you make sure that all the service invoice has been recorded in the register which is given to you? See, now that's where the problem lies, that when we go for audit evidence, we think of testing. Okay, we need to do the testing, and directly people think of, okay, let's do the sampling. But before sampling, how are you making sure that the population that you are selecting is appropriate for the sampling purpose? Like, we will see again in the sampling part, but again, the question comes is, it's not only about doing the procedures, sampling, testing, observation, recalculation, inspection. No, it is beyond that. When I talk about audit evidence, we have to think beyond the procedures, beyond the documentation. We have to think that, okay, when we are going for the procedures, are we doing it correctly?
we will get the written representation from the management whether they recorded everything in the books of accounts. The first confirmation from them.
But can you rely upon the written representations?
No,
If
sir. We cannot.
written representations is the appropriate audit evidence.
No, sir. That's not the appropriate audit evidence. However, say something is better than nothing, so we can credit them.
When we are issuing a reasonable opinion, we cannot say that okay, like we have something. We need to say that we have the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. If I talk about reasonable opinion, see, if you are giving a limited review, if you are doing a limited review, still inquiry and analytical procedures can be deemed to be fine. But at the time of reasonable assurance, I cannot say that okay, I have a written representation, I have something in my hand, let's proceed ahead. No, that it should not work like that way. There are ways, there are things that you need to think again back at the assertion level. Again back at the assertion level that okay, whether the evidence that I'm getting now is at the assertion levels or not. So the moment we did a risk assessment at the assertion level, now we need to get the evidence also at the assertion level. For example, simple example I'm giving to you. Let's say purchase or expenses of the services. When I will start the testing, I'll pick up the listing, whatever it is. The first thing I will make sure that the, let's say at times you are given the data in Excel, okay, or in any of the files. The first thing I will make sure that the output of the system and the Excel file given to me is same. There is nothing tampering which is done on the Excel file after getting the output. So there is no additional things which are done on the file. It is just the output of the system that I'm getting. So first is that particular point that I will make sure, so that at least I can say, okay, this is the data which I'm getting from the system. And then I need to go and check what are the controls in the system with respect to the completeness. What are the processes in the system with respect to the completeness? Can I ensure completeness here? Is it possible to ensure completeness? If no, then what are the alternate procedures for me to ensure the completeness? Number one, for example, let's say services. The one way to ensure completeness is to just, like, for example, if we have all the payments done, okay, one way is to do the testing of the payments done, which are, kind of, you can say, booked in the advances to the vendor. So I will go and check, okay, is there any advance to vendor payment done for which I am yet to book the invoices? Or are there any invoices for which the payment is done but the invoice is yet to be booked? Number two is that, for example, sometimes we go and check comparative analysis, analytical procedures. Okay, these were the services which were already obtained last year. Some services you can predict, electricity, month on month you should get a bill. So by this way, by doing the analytical procedures, still I can get some comfort on some of the areas. Now, for example, legal and professional, you cannot do analytical procedures. You cannot ensure that, okay, by analytical procedures, you can get the comfort. Neither the comparative analysis can give you a good information in that area. What else we can do? Number one, correlation with the ongoing litigations or ongoing, areas where the professional or legal service is obtained. See, it's not like that, you can obtain legal services just for random things. Inside opinion, I'm taking a professional inside opinion. I don't need it for any litigation. It will not happen. Mostly, if there is a litigation, if there is a merger, if there is any transaction going on, opinions are taken on that. Professional services are taken based on the assignments, projects, or anything going on. So for that, you can correlate that, okay, if this project is going on, is there any professional expense which is yet to be booked for this project? When you will do inquiries, you will ask people over there that, okay, who are working for which assignment? Have you hired any external consultant or management expert in this particular area? So from there, you can get ideas. For example, litigations. If you can see in your books of accounts by the minutes of the meeting, in-house legal counsel, that, okay, the litigation is going on, definitely there will be external counsel involved. So there are ways, there are things that basically you can do to ensure completeness to a reasonable extent. I'm not saying 100% possible. No, that's why there are inherent limitations when we say it. But to a reasonable extent, yes, you can validate it, and that's what we will learn. The first and the foremost thing is that the how and what can be relied upon, how we need to rely upon, and what is the data or audit evidence we can accept. Clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, basically, when I talk about term audit evidence, okay, audit evidence. So, as I said, audit evidence means the information that you use or on which you can say that, okay, this is my opinion. This is the document. This is a piece of paper or a procedures performed, an outcome of that on which I am able to issue the opinion. That's the audit evidence. And when we talk about sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, sufficient means the quantity means the amount of the audit evidence that can help you to validate, you can say either such quantitative aspect of the financial number. For example, uh, as I said, completeness, as I said, accuracy. Okay. When I talk about appropriateness of the audit evidence, talks about the quality. For example, is the audit evidence relevant for your case? Can you rely upon that audit evidence? It is more onto relevance and the reliability. Okay. Is the audit evidence relevant for your purpose? Can you rely upon that audit evidence? For example, we call management representation letter as an audit evidence. Okay. Now the question comes is that can we rely blindly on the management's written representation? Answer is
No,
no.
no.
Yes, answer is no. Now, when I say no, that means it is not an appropriate audit evidence. You may call sufficient, but it is not appropriate. So, to say anything as insufficient and appropriate audit evidence, I need to make sure that it ticks the box of the sufficient, like quantitative part also. It ticks the box of the qualitative part, that the relevance and the reliability of that audit evidence. Now, so when I talk about audit evidence, I basically deal, or I basically, you can say, focus on two parts. We will discuss one by one all the things, but I'm focusing on two parts: quantity, that is sufficient, and you can say appropriateness, that's the quality of the audit evidence. Quantity and quality, sufficient and appropriate. Okay. Now, when I discuss the quality, I discuss two important terms: relevance and reliability. Relevance and the reliability. What is relevance? Reliability we can understand by the term itself. Fine. What is relevance? What is relevance? What I'm talking about relevance. What is relevance? Okay. Let's take an example. To understand this, we will take an example to understand the term relevance. Why we are talking about relevance here. audit evidence. Okay. And the first thing I want to talk about is appropriate audit evidence. In that, relevance. And we will understand with an example. For example, let's say uh, pertaining to the object in the question, could be yes, but requires more onto explanation. Yes, Sanjay, very good. So when I talk about relevance, what I meant here is, let's say you are testing uh, data's confirmation, data's balance, trade receivable balance. For testing of trade receivable balance, okay, what you did is and when I talk about testing of trade receivable balance, okay, so at that point in time, what you did basically is that to ensure the completeness of the trade receivable. Now I'm talking about testing means here completeness, for completeness assertion. For completeness assertion of the trade receivable balance, you tested payments received are applied appropriately. Okay. So what you are doing here is you are saying that okay, in order to test the completeness of the trade receivable balance, I am checking with the payments which are received are applied appropriately or not. So you are checking application of payments received. Do you think here it is appropriate or it is relevant? Do you think this is relevant in this scenario? I'm talking about completeness of the trade receivables. Okay, let's take another example. Another example. For completeness of inventory. Okay. For completeness of the inventory, what you are doing is you are checking whether the cost is less than NRV and whether the lesser one is taken as value. For the completeness of the inventory, you are checking whether cost or NRV, whichever is less, is taken as a value or not. Very good, Mega. Anyone? What do you say? Like, is this relevant in this scenario? Very good, Chitra. So here in this particular scenario, it is not. It is not. Reason because by checking the NRV or cost, what I am doing is I am talking on the valuation. This is nothing but the valuation part, valuation assertion. This is valuation assertion. I need on completeness. Can I say the procedure which is performed on the valuation will give me comfort on completeness? Answer is no. How they are connected? They are not. That means the testing which is done is not relevant for the purpose of the the objective here. So the testing which I have done is not relevant. Are you getting the point? Whatever testing which is being done over here in the same way, like if I want to test the completeness of the trade payables, no, the first thing I will do the external confirmation rather than payments received, because there could be a scenario where I might have received the payments, or in case if, let's say for example, I might not have the book the invoice itself. How can you trace the payment received? Or let's say for example, I have not booked the invoice and the payment is also not received. So this particular will not give me comfort on the completeness. Rather, for completeness, I need to perform data's confirmation. That's the main part of the relevance. Relevance means it should provide you logical connection with the purpose of audit. When I talk about the relevance, it is nothing but the logical connection with the purpose of audit. And the second important part that we need to understand of the appropriateness is your one was relevance, second is reliability. Now, let's say, for example, we know that management representation letter is not that much reliable. But what is the reason why we say that it is not that much reliable?
We have the underlying assumption that management will have override controls.
Okay, yes. Okay. What else? Why we say that like there should like okay, management override of controls one reason. What else is the reason that I'm saying that it is not that much reliable? Very good makeup. Very important fundamental principle, that is independence. Is management independent? Are they free from bias? Very less chance, when because they are the one who are getting audited. Okay, I cannot blindly trust that the management is independent in its written representations. Management is objective in its written representation. So that's why reliability is higher for the external sources. Do you agree with that? That reliability is higher for the external sources.
Yes, sir. Always.
Any other answer for that? Mistake starts. It is not. I'll tell you. We are not talking about external sources. There could be external sources which are related party which are not reliable. Independent and external. But what a person was the person who was hired by the management on the trade receivables. Fine. That's really great. You'll take the confirmation from trade receivables. Uh, Now the question comes was, what if the trade receivable is a wholly owned subsidiary of the company? Will you still say that basically these are the reliable ones when the confirmation is coming from wholly owned subsidiary, where the back office of the management of the parent entity and the wholly owned subsidiary is one? You some may argue that okay, it is a separate legal entity, but it is not reliable, it is not independent, it is not objective source. Okay, so In that case, it has to be independent and objective source. Clear? Any doubt with that with respect to the reliability?
So with respect to reliability, whether it's internal or external, it should be independent and objectivity.
Yes.
That is the conclusion, sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Hetal, Mega, any doubt? No? Okay. So that was one of the part that I wanted to discuss about the audit evidence. Reliability, relevance with respect to appropriateness. Okay. Now, the second question was with respect to the information that can be used as an audit evidence. We understood, okay, fine, like information or the evidence has to be reliable, evidence has to be, relevant, evidence has to be, in sufficient and sufficient quantity. Fine. But to reach to an audit evidence place, see, it's not always that you get a direct audit evidence in your hand. No, you will first get the information that you need to perform some procedures on that information to get the audit evidence. Okay, so first, if I want to use any information for the purpose of audit evidence, then what are the things that I need to take care? That is something we need to understand. So I need to understand what are the things that I need to do before I use any information as an audit evidence. And sometimes that information can be manually prepared. That information can be manually prepared. And when I talk about manually prepared, it can be either, prepared by the management or any expert appointed by the management. So in that case, I need to understand, okay, what procedures I need to perform. Simple example, let's say you are as of now, doing testing of receivables, provision on receivables, provision on bad debts, trade receivables, bad debt provision. Now, there is a detailed calculation which management has prepared for you, which you need to verify. Okay. Let's say management hired someone to prepare this information. He took out the data from the system, did some calculations, applied the aging, everything, and then it provided you a number of the provision and basis of which the management passed an entry in the books of account for the provision. Now tell me, if you want to test that, how will you test? If you want to test that provision, how will you test?
We will check what are the parameters they covered, how many years they covered, what is the policies procedure to create that, the accounting policy, what they have on the creation of the provisions for receivables. First, we will check it out.
Hmm.
And what are the calculation assumptions, the preparation of that provisions, whether they correctly applied or not, whether they
Hmm.
consider all the population in that period,
Hmm.
what is the percentage they applied. We will check all this parameter, how they arrived the value. We will verify that. We will vouch it based on the evidence.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Yes. Uh, so yes, very good, Mega. Inquire the basis used by management to prepare the provision, compute it to get the same figure. Yes. Aging analysis, take some figures, recalculating. Yes, Lavanya, very good. Test the competence and independence of the external person. Okay, Sanjay, very good. Previous year data can be checked. Yes, yes, Hetal, very good. So you guys are correct, but there isn't systematic way to do that. Okay. So First, as I said, it is the information prepared by the management. Okay, it is the information which is prepared by the management. Now, or management's expert. Now, first of all, what I need to do is I need to understand who's this expert. So you need to evaluate the capability, competency, and objectivity of this expert so that accordingly you can rely and see his work. Let's say I gave you a simple example of bad debt provision. What if it is the valuation of the inventory which is of a special nature? What if it is the valuation of the inventory of special nature? For example, I'm not sure how many of you have done the audit of companies which are into jewelry business, precious gem. But over there, each and every item of the inventory is altogether, a different scenario with respect to the valuation. They have to be valued separately. It's not like that you can value directly, okay, and the cost or NRV, whichever is less. No, their valuation is taken out in a different way. Sometimes precious gems like stones. Okay, some entities has an precious gems or stones as their inventory. Now, at that point in time, it becomes very crucial to understand who is the person who is doing the valuation of these things. Accordingly, my testing procedure will be dependent upon. For example, if I tell you there is a new freshly graduate commerce graduate who has been given this task of the valuation, or if I say you, okay, the person who did the valuation is, let's say, 30 a person with an experience of 30 years in this industry. He is a certified valuer, actuarial, or something like that, who has a 30 years of experience. How much comfortable you will be with the first one compared to the second one, or how much comfortable you will be in the second one compared to first one?
You should involve the experienced person in that field, sir. Then only they can able to understand and appreciate that calculation and valuation behind in it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So you will be less, what I would say, you will be less comfortable when it's the newly graduate, commerce graduate compared to a person with 30 years of experience, and he has the relevant degrees and the experience in the industry. Second one is more reliable. Yes, Yatil, very good. So over there, I am talking about the competency. It defines how much comfortable you are, and accordingly, your procedure will follow. If it is a freshly graduate, I may totally reject his working and I may do fresh working of my own. If it is a 30-year-old, 30 years experience guy with a 30 years of experience in a similar industry, yes, I will look into his working. I will understand what he has done. So your procedures, your methodology will depend upon the competency. Capability. Does he has that capability to perform the task? And the objectivity. Why objectivity? Why objectivity?
Sir, objectivity is very much needed because without bias and it should be no, the valuation should be prepared on the basis of the same value if it is done for the third party.
Okay.
So objectivity will tell the exactly what it is.
Okay. Anyone else with a different answer? Why objectivity? Very good, Lavanya. Absolutely correct. Okay, Chitra. Very good, Manish. See, just now we discussed objectivity increase the reliability. So I need to check out the objectivity to understand the reliability of the information. Relevance, fine. Reliability. I need to think of the reliability also when I'm talking about appropriateness. So, how much reliable that information can be? Number one. Number two, there are two reasons for the objectivity. One is the reliability. Second is already something we have seen as a known as management biasness. What is management biasness? What is management biasness? And where we have discussed this. Come on, guys. What is management biasness and where we have discussed this? No?
Yeah, we discussed on the code of conduct also on the objectivities. We discussed about the biasness without bias and undue means all the we discussed in that part as well. Also, we checked that before accepting that audit evidence, audit or acceptance and continuance of audit evidence, we need to check the integrity of the client. That time also we discussed, I believe.
Okay. Remember something in the chapter 3 when we were discussing on the SA 540 management estimates which are done by the management. We discussed something on the management biasness, estimation uncertainty. Yes or
Yes, sir.
no?
Yes, sir. Accounting for auditing and estimate and the fair value accounting estimates and disclosures. In that we have
Yes.
studied it.
We studied about management biasness, how it can create an issue if there is a management biasness. It can increase the estimation uncertainty. Now when I talk about work done by the expert, let's say we were talking about valuation, yes, definitely estimates will be involved. So there are scenarios where biasness will be involved. So one, the objectivity I need with respect to the reliability. Second, objectivity will help me understanding the management biasness. And accordingly, I need to determine, yes, what and how much objective his work is, and accordingly what procedures I need to perform. So evaluate CCO, that is the capabilities, competencies, and objectivity for management biasness and your reliability of audit evidence. And again, why management biasness? Why estimation uncertainty? Because management of override of control. There is a risk involved in that. Okay. Now the second is, once you do that, once you are done with the CCO, you need to now obtain the understanding of what he has done. See, if I say person with 30 years of experience, yes, now I will go and understand what work he has done. So after evaluating CCO, the second step will be understand the work of expert or whosoever, has performed that particular work. In understanding the work, what you will do? How will you understand the work? How will you understand the work? Anyone? What you will understand? Very good, Lavanya. Very good, Mega. What you will understand when you will understand the work? Very important. Very good, Manish. See, when I talk about understanding the work, okay, simple. It is pretty much straightforward and simple. What we did in the estimate, similar kind of activity we'll repeat here to understand the work. Okay. Now, if you paid attention at the time of estimates, you might be aware what we discussed in that. When we discussed about understanding the estimates, we discussed about we will understand the method, we will understand the data, we will understand the assumptions taken. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. First, we will understand that the expert the independence and the how the knowledge and capabilities of that person. We need to understand and what are the basis for use to work that. What is the policies and procedure, and we have to check the recalculation, reperforming the all the things. We have to check it out. What is the internal control? What is the
Yeah,
control? Yeah, performed.
correct. The area of speciality, as you correctly said, yes. Then we will understand the membership or standard. Membership means like what degree he has, is he a member of any institute, what standard he follows, like professional ethical standard, what kind of membership and standard he has, data that has been used, assumptions he has taken, methods he has followed while deriving the calculations. Okay. Now, then after assumptions method, then we will understand the relevance of his work. See, relevance will be everywhere pretty much, because we need to understand whatever method assumptions he has applied, are they relevant for the purpose of this particular working or not. So accordingly, we need to understand like whether the work of an expert is appropriate for us or not. So for example, let's say someone has done the cash flow calculation for a particular project, and based on that management has booked some accounting entries. Hypothetical example I'm giving you. Now for the purpose of cash flow calculation, the person took a discount rate. The discount rate was 40%. Assumption was discount rate is 40%. Reason because management will earn a return of 40%, internal rate of return. That's why discount rate is 40%. Now 40% is an assumption also, and the relevance of the 40% is also very important. Is it relevant in this scenario? Could be. See, let's say for example, assumption is kind of based on the internal rate of return. But is it relevant to use internal rate of return for the purpose of discounting rate? Might not be. So you need to understand the assumptions which are taken, methods which are followed, and the relevance of those methods and assumptions. Then only you will be able to understand the work performed by the expert. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Okay. Now, the next part that we need to understand is with respect to appropriateness of the expert's work. Appropriateness of his work for the purpose of audit, or for the purpose of whatever assertion is there. Let's say, for example, as I discussed, that the person was supposed to calculate aging, provision on bad debt based on the aging. Now, when he calculated the aging at that point in time, he calculated the aging from the end of financial year, means invoices which are outstanding from the end of financial year. Do you really think that is relevant and appropriate for the purpose of the assertion for which this is performed?
See, actually, the aging to be calculated from the payment when it is due.
Yes, absolutely. Then the work at all is not appropriate. Okay. So in that point in time, the appropriateness of the work goes on a toss. So you need to understand whether the work is appropriate for the purpose of assertion or not. Whether the work is appropriate for the purpose of assertion or not, that is the third and very important criteria that you need to understand. Any doubt? Any doubt till now?
No, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Now, if no doubt, then we need to take one very important topic. Very important topic. Information produced by entity. What is that? So we will discuss now. Okay, there is one doubt. Yes, Megha. Yes, Megha, you can ask your doubt. So the question I think is this one: if we get an external confirmation, but is it from an entity which can be influenced by the client, then what we can do to get a reliable audit evidence? Like in case of trade receivable, example given by where the data was wholly on subsidiary of the entity. See, in that case, you need to perform alternate procedures. Alternate procedures means, let's say if that is a wholly owned subsidiary of the entity, first of all, you need to understand, see, whenever there are, transactions between related parties, as per Companies Act, you need to take some approvals. Whether those approvals, as per section, if I'm not wrong, 188, is there or not. Then once the approvals are there, fine, perfectly fine, then you go for the, if it is a transaction for the goods, if it is a transaction for the goods, then see the movements of goods, whether the goods have been, actually shipped or not, or it's just a book entry. You need to understand that particular part, that whether whatever sales it has been shown, whether the goods have been actually shipped, they have been received at the subsidiaries location. Because in case of the subsidiaries, we do testing differently. It's not the same way that we do for all of the sales. We have to check from more heightened risk. We will see something more onto the related party when we will see how to do audit of related parties and how to gather evidence at that point in time. Okay, there is a particular standard also on the testing of the related parties. Which standard it is? Anyone? Standards on the related party audit evidence that we need to get?
ICAI 550?
Absolutely yes. ICAI 550. Now at that time, we will see what are the things that we need to consider when we are doing a testing of a transaction with related party. But as of now, understand that it's a lot different and different audit procedures are performed. Any other doubt? Any other doubt? Sorry. Okay, if no further doubts, very important topic that I want to discuss. That is information produced by entity. We call it IPE. What is this? What is this? Information produced by entity. IPE. Why we are discussing this? Is entity a manufacturing entity? Like, is company a manufacturing entity which produce information that we are talking about? Or what is information produced by entity? Come on. Quickly. What is information produced by entity? Are we talking about a company which manufactures the information? Okay, Mega. Somewhat similar, Chitra, but not exactly. Come on, guys.
The report what we provided to auditors.
No, not the report. It is something more.
That information is produced by the IT environment. Based on that, they will give that, say, example in the purchase register or the ledger copies or the receivable supplier and creditors ledgers.
Yes, absolutely correct. So when I talk about information produced by the entity, okay, it is the information that is produced by the systems which are there in the entity. For example, entity has done some work on the systems and the systems has given you that information. It is not directly, let's say, some what you can say, uh, some output of the invoices or some like you can say invoices, copies of invoices or agreements. No, it is the information that the entity has produced: Excel sheets, working papers, calculations, a lot of things which was not there, but entity has created that. Okay, entity has created that which was not there earlier. Information produced by entity, and this information is something that we need to use during the audit. But the question comes is, should we use this information directly? Should we use this information directly?
No, sir, that is not reliable actually. That we have to analyze further based on the audit procedures.
Let's understand with an example so that we will be able to understand more clearly. Yes, Mega, very good. Yes, Chitra, very good. But let's understand with an example. Let's say this is an example. So we are talking about a particular system where you enter the dates, range, which are the parameters. Then there's a AR program, which is a report logic. It pulls out the data from the AR subledger and gives you the AR report, that is the IPE. Okay, that is how a particular report IPE is generated. It involves parameters, logic, source data, and IPE. Now tell me, how will you validate or what you will do before relying upon the IP with
Sir,
this
we
example?
we have to test all these things on the reliability. See, we discussed no, we have to check for the independence and the objectivities. The independence is here that the person who is entered keyed in the data into the system, not by the system. The thing, and then objectivity also we need to check based on the objectivity and that independence. After checking the reliability, definitely we can use that data. We have to check all this relevance. What are the parameters given? If you are okay, then we can rely on it.
Can you give me some specific examples, or if anyone can give me specific examples with respect to this one, like date range, AR program, subledger data, output, specific examples? Or let's say today, like tomorrow, I'm asking you, okay, you are doing the testing or you are doing the auditing of an entity. Company has given this kind of report in this way. Go and test. What you will do?
So this is a kind of reports are based on the input available in the system. It is drawing. See, we have to check the logic behind whether we have to check the raw data, whether all this captured correctly. We have to manually calculate some of the calculation, whether that the key parameters they captured or not. We have to then only we can rely upon this.
So one specific answer I would say manual calculations.
Yes.
Mega, you also given that We will take up some samples and do manual calculation. Okay, what else? Any specific how you will test?
And the recalculation, so we have to do the reperformance. The system is done that their part. The manually also we have to done from our side, from one entry to with the entry initiation to the payment date till the outstanding. Whether we have to do the manually, and accordingly we can match with the report.
How many samples you will pick? Let's say, for example, I'm giving an example. Okay, this particular report has, let's say, 25,000 line items. Okay, of different types of sales, with different type of sales.
Say example, if the sales is say, GST, now they are going to come under the two category, that 5% and something. Okay. Say example, now the currently four categories. Say in the each four category, we have to test at least minimum one sample.
Okay, but by one sample, will you get the comfort? Like, okay, if I tested the entire one sample, will I get the comfort on the IPE?
Sorry, say example, if the 9% GST, the line item may be 10,000 line item, but on checking the one line item, it will give the exact meaning. The output will be this, since it's the program made in the report, the one logical if is correct, then the output automatically correct only. No, we need not check for 1,000 line items on that case. The
So
again.
let's say, let's say for four categories, like some are saying 10 data samples, we need to do more based on materiality. Let's say based on materiality or based on as per your suggestion, if we tested one sample for each of the category, do I need to do any further testing? And let's say all those four samples passed. I'm not saying anything else. I'm saying four test samples are tested as per the category. Or let's say if Mega, you are saying based on materiality, I tested samples as per materiality. All the sample passed. Do I need to do any further testing? Yes, no, can't say. Very good, Mega. See here, understand one thing that we are missing again back and back. Basics. Basics is something called, we are missing the assertions. When you test one sample, it will give you comfort on the logic. So when I talk about logic, testing one sample
Sorry,
for
again we
each
need to.
category, just a minute, for each category will be sufficient. Fine. Testing one sample for each category will be sufficient. Now, coming to the rest of the part, parameters and the source data. When I talk about the source data, assertions come into place. Completeness, accuracy of the source data. How can you ensure accuracy and the completeness of the source data by just testing one sample or few samples? Not, you cannot. Trust me,
Sir,
you cannot. Yeah.
sir, I am thinking in the same line. See, when the rice is cooked, see whether it is a cooked fully, we will put check that only one rice. We can press it. Okay, it's cooked well. Then we are sure that the entire rice is cooked perfectly. The same way, when the system is generating the report, if you are testing the one sample, okay, same way the system will generate all other reports. That is what I'm coming
See,
to that conclusion.
there are two things in, not appropriate in your example. Number one is in rice, you can see the color and the, condition of the rice, which is matching with the one sample that you are taking up. It's not something that, let's say, for example, rest of the rice appears like pale yellow or black burnt rice. You pick up one sample. Will you still say that, okay, all are cooked? No. There you are looking at the rise, their conditions and everything. Then you are comparing. Okay, after seeing everything, it appears me a homogeneous population. Now I can pick one sample from it and I will test. And based on the other conditions, the homogeneousness which is appearing to me, that is fine. That is one thing. So you are using some additional procedures to determine whether the population is homogeneous or not. Okay, the second problem with your example is the completeness. In your example, completeness has no relevance. If some of the rise are, whether all rise are there or not, something, on the completeness path. But when I talk about audit, completeness becomes very important concept for me. Over there, homogeneity, like, testing one sample from each category and applying other procedures will only work if I know that rest of the data is matching with that. If I can see rest of the data, if I can perform the procedure on the rest of the data, if I can compare it and then I take a sample, fine. But still it will not address my completeness issue. And that, for that, I need to perform additional procedures on the source data. I need to perform additional procedures on my source data. Now, what is the source data over here? Your AR subledgers, AR balances. Now, what additional procedures you will perform on the AR balances? I will test completeness. I will test controls. I will do TOC, TOD on that. So here, TOC plus TOD will be performed on the source data. That is, when I say TOD, it's nothing but confirmations. When I talk about TOC, I'm talking about control testing, ITGC, a lot of things, operating effectiveness and design effectiveness of those controls. Then only I will be able to say that, okay, the source data is complete, accurate, cutoff is being maintained in that, okay, properly valued. It's a balance sheet. So balance sheets are, at all the balance sheet assertions, I have to say that the source data is appropriately fine. Rights and obligations, all those things. It's not just only one thing. Here I need to say source data is appropriate on all the balance sheet assertions. On all assertions. So if I have the comfort on the source data by performing these procedures, if I have tested the one sample for each category to validate the logic, now there is one more issue. One more issue. The issue is that testing time. When I'm testing one sample, for example, let's say if you are auditing, what you can say, periodically, quarterly. If I have tested one sample in a particular quarter, can I carry forward that comfort in the subsequent quarters? Answer is no. So this testing one sample for each category either has to be done for the report wise, for each and every report that you have. Let's say, for example, if you are pulling out monthly reports, will you test one sample for each month in all the 4 categories? How will you do that? Let's say this AR program is run monthly. This is the frequency for this program is monthly. How will you test one sample will you test one sample for each month? Because majority of the companies, when I'm talking about listed companies, they close their books on a monthly basis. These kind of things run on a monthly basis. The quarterly reporting happens. Sometimes 6 monthly reporting also happens in much more detail. Will you test one sample every month?
No, sir. Answer is no.
And at that point in time, let's say you said like 4 categories. What if there are more than 4 categories? So let's say if I talk about 8 categories, 8 sample each month into 12 months. Not the smart audit. Yes, you are doing the audit, but not the smart way. What I may do is, instead of testing one sample for each category for each month. I may test one sample for each category on the first month. Then I may go check the controls on very important area. That is the change management. Do you know what is change management? Means, is there any change in the system report logic over the month? Like if management says there is no change, I cannot take it blindly. Okay, management, you are saying I'll accept it. No, I have to verify. There are change logs in the particular system. In each and every ERP, there are change logs. That is there any change in the report logic? There are controls around that. So I will test those controls also. Now again, I need to take one or two samples to test those automated controls. But yes, I will take up one or two samples to test the control, not 8 samples to test all the categories. No, I will take one or two samples to test the control based on the frequency. Once I am comfortable with the control, yes, control is there. I have a good evidence that report logic has not been altered till the end if the control is working fine. I will see that change log, and based on that, if there is no change, my one sample testing for each category which is done in the first month, the comfort on that is still valid till the last month. That is the another way of doing audit. Like bringing the controls in the picture, taking the comfort from the controls, and then rest of the things I'm putting on the TOD. Your everything can be fine, program logic, AR subledger, report, but if your parameters are wrong, your entire report will be wrong. So sometimes you need to also test parameters separately. And how will you test parameters? Simple. Observation. What parameters are being entered when the report is being generated? If you do all these things, you already have a comfort on IPE. You already have a comfort on the IPE. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So here what you are doing is you are obtaining information about the accuracy and the completeness of the information. You are talking about whether the information is sufficiently precise for your purpose. So accuracy, completeness, all those things you are doing it again. You are verifying it again. And then you are saying that, okay, this information is good to go. Clear? Any doubt till now? No? No doubts? Okay. Then if no doubts, then the one more topic that I want to take it up is with respect to inconsistency. I want to take up a topic called inconsistency in the evidence. That means when two or more evidence are contradictory or there is an inconsistency between them. When two or more audit evidence are inconsistent with each other. What you will do? What you will do? What you will do?
Then we have to do the investigate further. Further, we need to investigate further to get audit evidence to obtain further. Definitely, we will discuss with management why there is why the difference. We will ask them to reconcile it.
Yep. Okay.
If not able to resolve, definitely we will give the qualify the opinion.
Yep. Okay. Good. See, again, when I talk about inconsistency, it's pretty much easy. Nothing difficult. If there's a doubt, if there is something not lining up with between two or more evidence, see for the reliable one. Check which is reliable and relevant.
Say example, the debtor balance in our book showing the 10 crore, but when we are getting confirmation from the debtors, it's showing 15 crore. There is a 5 crore difference.
So at that point in time, one is I will rely on the data's confirmation. Number two, I will perform additional procedures to validate the difference. That means I will see what are the invoices which are difference between 15 and 10. And then on the basis of that, I will go and check, I will ask and do the detailed analysis why these invoices are not recorded here but are there in the data confirmation, or is something which is not considered in the data confirmation. I'll do more testing, more analysis of that, and based on that I will come to a conclusion, whatever it is, either misstatement or something else. Okay, so this is how I have to resolve the inconsistency basically. Clear? Any doubt with this? Okay, if no doubts, then let's quickly go through the standard and the study material both, and then we will proceed for next one. So that was audit evidence that we discussed. As I discussed already, the objective is to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. When I talk about sufficient, it is the quantity of the audit evidence. When I talk about appropriate, it is the measure of the quality with respect to relevance and the reliability. Okay. Then when you are obtaining sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, you need to think of the relevance and the reliability along with the quantity. Now, when you are using the work which is performed by or carried out by management expert, you need to check competency, capability, objectivity, CCO. You need to obtain understanding of the work of that expert. You need to evaluate the appropriateness of that work. You remember discounting cash flow, the rate of discounting, discount rate that has been taken. So appropriateness of that particular work. Then when you are using the information produced by the entity, okay, you need to make sure that it's sufficiently reliable for the purpose of audit. We discussed how sufficiently reliable. You need to check the accuracy and completeness of that particular information at the assertion level. Remember, go to the basics. Think of the assertions. Okay. Evaluate whether the information is sufficiently precise and detailed for the auditor's purpose. Okay. Then only it will be appropriate. And whenever you are thinking of the testing, don't go for just audit. Think of the smart audit. You think of the designing the test of controls and test of details. Take evidence from both, not only test of details. Think of the controls. How can I make sure I can get the some details from the controls also? Okay, and then you need to think that okay, how they are effective for the purpose of audit. They should be relevant, effective for the purpose of audit. For example, testing one sample every month for 8 categories, for like 8 samples per month for 12 months. Not an effective way of doing audit. But testing the logic, then verifying the change log, and then testing one sample each category for only 1 month, more effective. Okay. And in case of inconsistency or doubt over reliability, okay, Determine what modifications or additions to the audit procedures are necessary. For example, see which is more reliable one. Okay. If you have a doubt over reliability of the information, then see which is more reliable one. If there is an inconsistency, then think why there is an inconsistency. What additional audit procedures you need to perform to resolve that. Okay, so that is your essay 500. And for a quick revision, in your study material, you have a very good chart given. Okay, which talks about the objective information to be used in audit evidence, procedures, and inconsistency. Very good chart for a quick revision. Clear? Any doubt with essay 500?
No, sir. Clear, sir. Thanks for
Okay.
clarifying the doubts.
Okay, if no doubts, let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll gather back and continue with the rest of the standards. Yes, sir. Okay. Now we discussed about SA 500. Now we will proceed to a next standard, which is SA 501. Now, SA 501 basically talks about specific scenarios. See, SA 501, SA 500 was evidence, audit evidence. But when I talk about SA 501, it is the audit evidence applicable in a specific scenarios. When I talk about specific scenarios that are also mentioned, like these are the specific scenarios. In these specific scenarios, what you are required to do, how you are required to obtain audit evidence. Reason because these are the critical specific scenarios. Okay. So this is the specific consideration for selected items. You can say that. Now, which are these selected items? Can anyone tell me? If you have read the chapter, you will be aware which are these selected items. Anyone? Which are these selected items?
For say example, if it is a receivable alone, if you are going to test it, then the receivable area alone. If it is a creditor area alone.
Okay.
If it is a purchase alone, we will check sales mix.
Your voice was breaking. Can you repeat again? Your voice was breaking. Very good, Lavanya. Very good, Sanjay. Very good, Megha. Very good, Chitra. Very good, Manish. Yes, absolutely correct. So you guys have given the correct answer with respect to which are the areas it is required to cover. Now, my second question, whether all the things for that particular area are required to be covered. Very good, Hetal. Yes, absolutely correct. So whether all the areas, like all the things for that particular area are required to be looked into. So you gave me an answer to the inventory, litigations and claim and segment information. So inventory, litigations and claim, and segment information. So tell me, are you required to, like as per the standard, look into this area fully, like all the things of inventory, all the things of litigations, all the things of segment information? Yes? No? If no, then what is we are required to look into? Yes, absolutely correct, Mega. Yes, very good, Manish. Okay, Hetal, very good. Yes, very good, Mega. So what we are required to look into is now the important part that we need to understand. Yes, Manish, very good. It's not something that standards say. See, any which ways we are required to test inventory, litigation claim, segment information fully. This applying this standard doesn't mean you don't have to test other areas. It is not the case. This is the specific guidance, specific requirement for these specific areas. Means this is the bare minimum you need to do when it is about these areas. And what are these areas? Very important that we need to understand. So these are nothing but existence and condition of inventory and condition of inventory. Okay. First is the existence and conditions of inventory. Then comes the litigation and claim. Can anyone tell me what is for litigation and claim? What is for litigation and claim? Completeness. Yes, very good. Completeness of litigation and claims. Completeness of litigations and claim involving the entity. What is for the segment information? Yes, very good, Manish. Yes, very good, Mega. Very good, Lavanya. So we are talking about presentation and disclosure of segment information. Presentation and disclosure of segment information. Now, these are the specific scenarios where we need to look into basically, like, additional things. We need to do additional things. Okay, great. Let's now start the discussion with one by one with each and every area. Okay, one by one with each and every area. So tell me what you will do. Like, forget as of now about this standard. What you will do to verify the existence and condition of the inventory.
We will do the physical verification.
Hmm. Hmm. What else? What you will do with respect to the existence and condition of inventory? Physical verification. Yes, very good. Yes, Mega, very correct. Physical verification. Is it only the physical verification that we are talking about? If it was that simple, physical verification, why then we needed a standard?
Then valuation of the inventory.
But that is not the part. I am talking about existence and condition. I am talking about existence and condition. No, Neha, not stock register somewhere. Like, I'm talking about what procedures you will perform. Physical inventory records. Okay, fine. Yes, Hetal. But again, you talking about physical inventory count? Okay, tell me. Let's do a deep dive on the physical inventory count. Now tell me physical count or physical counting of inventory. How will you do that? What you will do in that? What you will do in physical count?
We will present when the management is checking the verification. Along with them, we will also present and we will check it out.
Okay. Okay. Fine. You will check the inventory. Okay. Anyone else with some different answer with respect to how you will check the inventory? Very good, Mega. Yes, absolutely correct. How will you check the inventory? How will you check the inventory? Okay. Not an issue. We will discuss how we will check the inventory. Okay. Yes, very good, Mega. Absolutely correct. So when I talk about existence and the condition of inventory, okay, existence and the condition of inventory, what I will do first, I will attend the physical count which is performed by the management. Why? Always remember, when we are doing and collecting audit evidence, do smart work. Think of controls. Go to the basics. I'm talking about existence and the condition of the inventory. Existence. Okay, and the condition. Now, when I talk about existence, I am not only the one who will perform TOD. Sorry, that approach is gone. Only TOD is not a good approach. It's not a smart approach of audit. Like I will do the verification. No, there are controls placed. Management does something already. Management also does the inventory count on a periodic basis. There is a term called cyclic inventory count. Cycle inventory count. What is cyclic or cycle inventory count? Cyclic or cycle inventory count is a process of counting the inventory. See, let's say for example, I'm talking about a multi-brand chain retail store. You know what I'm talking about. Multiple stores, they have multiple items, groceries and everything near to your house or area. It is a brand store. Like a brand is there which has these kind of stores, marts, something like that. Okay, ABC Mart kind of thing. Now, my question comes to you is, do you think it is possible to verify all the inventory in one night and one go?
No, sir, it's not possible, sir. They will divide into the value category: low value, medium value, high value. Like that, accordingly, high value item based on the policy, so within a year they have to count it. Yeah, otherwise, they will do the ABC categories also.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So I will do high, medium, low, and accordingly I will value. I will sorry count the items, and the items will be counted like not at the end of the year, but throughout the year, because inventory counting will not be possible if I do at the end of the year, considering the size of the inventory we have. As a result, it becomes very imperative to rely and to do and see. For example, if I'm talking about inventory worth of crores and in multiple items, let's say you have an inventory of somewhere around 30, 40, let's say 300, 400 crores of inventory. Rupees, I'm talking about 400 rupees, 400 crores of inventory. Now the question comes is the count items. Now if I talk about, let's say the items are low value items, 20 rupees, 30 rupees item, but they are summing up to 400 crores. Think of the quantity. Even for the auditor, it will not be possible to count the inventory under one night. Even if you do ABC also, it will not be possible, because in this scenario, when I'm talking about retail stores, all the inventory are low value inventory. You cannot do ABC analysis also, because everything is below either 500 or 600 rupees. But in aggregate, the inventory goes to 400 crores for all the location. Can you go and count all the milk packets within a day for all the locations, or your team can go? Grocery items, not possible, not practicable. Move out of the zone of the TOD. Now think of the TOC. Controls in place. What are the controls? Controls is the inventory count done by the management. So you are not only the one who does the inventory count. There are the inventory counts which are done by the management. Now let's say you want to test the control on the inventory count. That is the management inventory count. How will you test? What you will do?
We will ask the management when we will be doing the inventory count. Based on the timing, we also go and present when they are checking that inventory.
Okay.
If that is
Okay.
not possible, then we will separately go and verify it.
Okay. Okay. Let's say if you'll go and separately verify, then how you are testing the control?
Yeah, separately when we are going and checking, first we will do the test of controls. What is the internal control related to the inventory? What is the
How?
procedure? What is the policy and procedure? Then we
How?
will.
The question is, how will you test the control? That's the main part that we need to understand. How will you test the control? Anyone? How will you test the control?
What is the inventory receiving process, where it is stored, whether it's a SOD is there or not, the delegation of duty, that safeguarding measurement, uh, and how they segregated the item inventory, low, medium, high, the value wise, whether is there any obsolescence stock also placed in there, what is the procedure they followed. We will check it out whether the policy and procedure correctly applied or not in that inventory storage location.
Okay, good. I'll give you an example, and rather than a question. So management, let's say, called a particular store manager. Store manager, let's do tomorrow inventory count. Auditors will be there with you. They will observe the inventory count. Store manager said yes, no issues. When you went, store manager started the count in front of you. He took out the list. He started taking the items. All the items were matching. Like you observed it. Okay, items are actually matching. You observed it with your eyes. And then you also took out some samples from that list. You checked the list. Okay, these are some samples. Now I am going to test. You tested. You also identified and found all the items. Is this sufficient?
Then based on their counting, our counting, whether there is a mismatch, we have to recalculate.
There was no differences. Everything was matching in that store. Because, like, the report was from the system. Everything was matching in the store. Is that sufficient? Why, Hetal? If you say yes, then why? If you say no, then why? Okay, Sanjay, good. So I'll repeat the example again. I'll write it, the example. Management of XYZ Limited, okay, informed store manager of X location that there will be surprise inventory count tomorrow, and auditors will be present. Okay, this was the communication. Now, at the time of count, store manager brought already prepared inventory list which was then verified through physical verification. Okay, and then verified through physical verification by auditor and manager both. I'm just writing in short, auditor and manager both. No differences were identified. Simple. No differences were identified. Now tell me, is this sufficient? Are you satisfied with this?
Sir, inventory list, whatever provided by the management, that inventory list, whether it is a relevance, we need to check the reliability of that inventory list, whatever provided by the management.
Very good. So one of the point is inventory list. I need to check the reliability of the inventory list. Okay, so you need to check the reliability. Yes, absolutely correct. Whether it is reliable. What else?
And also we need to check the relevance, the logical behind the evidences provided for the audit purpose. Say example, in that list, inventory list, there will be high value, low value, medium value. In the obsolescence will be there. If there some obsolete material also voluntary move to the high value, then here and there they switch over the things, then the entire concept is will be diluted. So we need to check the correctness also. The what classification is correctly, the cost or NRV, whichever is the valuation also we need to check it out.
Okay, fine. So I'm talking, so you will do some additional procedures basically at ground to verify the absolute inventory. Apart from verification, you are saying you will do some additional procedures to verify the absolute inventory. Like Lavanya, this is the internal control, management count of inventory. So we are talking about testing the internal control. We'll go and prepare our own list and compare it their list. Not somewhere, no Chitra, not appropriate. Check the quantities are updated on real time in the software. Okay, good. I will question on the inventory list. So inventory list, one item. Absence, keep it aside. I'm not as of now talking additional procedures. I'm not talking on the additional procedures. I'm talking about the testing of control, not performing additional audit procedures to gather appropriate and sufficient audit evidence. TOD is kept aside. I'm only purely talking about TOC. Inventory list reliability. Good point taken. What else?
What is a cut-off procedure they followed like that? That policies and procedure, how the inventory counting they are performing.
Very good. Very good. Absolutely correct. So, the second important thing is management informed store manager of X location there will be surprise inventory count. That's it. Where are the instructions for the inventory count? So, the instructions for inventory count, where are they? How store manager knows that he needs to perform inventory count in this way? How he is aware what are the policies and procedures for the inventory count? Okay, if he's a chartered accountant, he might know the basics. But what if he is not? But what if he is someone new in the store? The store manager is new. How can you ensure that this is a surprise visit, you are present, you can ensure. But when I talk about operating effectiveness of the control should run in the same way each and every time, whether you are present or not. How can you ensure that the count is done in the similar way every time when it is done? How can you ensure that?
Yes, sir. They will supervise that. They will check that when inventory control is effective or not, the operating effectively by the management themselves. If there is a observation count, if there is a positive count, sometimes the negative count, sometimes they will adjust it. What is that limit? Also, they will fix it. Whether those procedure is supervised and monitor whenever there is a physical count has happen, which means the cycle count.
Okay, but store manager is monitoring. Let's say store people are doing the count, store manager is monitoring.
And there is also internal auditor will be there. The internal auditor also will verify and
So
he will.
see again, it is not feasible to make present auditor at every place. It could be a scenario where they have 200, 300 stores across India. Still, internal audit team can be people of 5, 6. They can visit 5 or 6 stores at a time, not more than that. And there are certain stores where they cannot visit. So at that point in time, if I say, if internal auditor was present, then I can only rely. Otherwise, I cannot. Not a feasible even for the management. Management will never implement that. They have to hire The internal auditors, like, so many, just for the count. There is a simpler way to do that. Instead of internal audit, one big issue you guys are missing was, who is conducting the count? Store manager. He is the one who is taking care of the store, and you are asking him to conduct the count. Where is the segregation of responsibilities and duties? You are asking a person to check the inventory who's managing the inventory. If he has already done something with respect to the inventory, if he has done any fraud, he knows it. He knows how to cover it. Segregation of duty is not present. So segregation of duty, instructions, reliability of the information, plus procedures. Like when I'm talking about you done the verification, you observe. Okay. Plus you will reperform. So these are certain things that you need to do in order to only validate the control. I'm not talking about TOD as of now. No. I'm only talking about validation of the control. The control should be like, there should be instructions. There should be a schedule. Okay, there could be surprise visits also, not an issue, but there should be segregation of duties involved in it. That the person who is taking care of the store should not be involved in the count, or the person who are responsible for the store should not be involved in the count. Instructions should be clear.
Sir, my question is that if that store manager is not there involved in the cycle count process, then if we involve the other person, say example salesperson or some administrative person is involved in the counting process, then he does not know where is the stock is located. How he will
So
identify?
no. So in that case, the instructions are very useful. So there are two things. That's why I said instructions should be there. Like instructions provide which inventory is required to be kept where. When I talk about instructions, it's not only the counting instructions, but how the every store has a policy. Like for example, if I'm talking about these uh, multi-brand chain retail stores, they have a policy which inventory item to be kept where. And it is not only the items which are counted, the items how they are placed, whether they are placed by complying the company's policy, whether is there any SOP for arranging the or stacking the items. Everything is there in the instructions. So when I talk about instructions, they are very detailed, and the purpose of instruction is only that without the help of third person, I should be able to get the details of the inventory. Okay, sometimes if the inventory is of such nature that you need a person to guide. Let's say for example, you are doing an inventory count in a very big warehouse where these policies are not there. So sometimes there is a warehouse, back end warehouse, where all the items are packed. They cannot keep the items open, where the items are packed and they are stacked on very big racks. At that point in time, you might need a help from the warehouse guys, that okay, bring the inventory down from the racks, bring the pallet down from the rack, verify the pallet number, barcode and everything. And then you have the details of the packing, like okay, this is the barcode, this many items is contained in this particular box with this barcode. You may ask them to open the packing because they are specially packed sometimes. So they need tools to open the packing. So at that point in time, you need their help. But again, you will the person who is doing the inventory count, he will be in the control of the surrounding environment. It is not like that he's being guided by, he's being showing by, like inventory count is done by the store guys, he's just following them. No, it's a reverse way around. Count is done by separate persons, and then there are the guys who help them. So if I talk about with respect to existence and condition, first thing is validate the physical inventory count. At attendance of the physical inventory count, that is there, perfectly fine. Then if it is not feasible, unless impracticable to, go for the controls. Think of the controls. Now control is Evaluate management instruction and procedure for recording and controlling the results of entity physical count. How physical count is conducted, what are the ways the physical count is conducted. Then you may perform physical count, like observe the performance of physical count. For example, third party is coming, how they are performing, you should be satisfied. Okay, no, I am there, but still otherwise they are following the instructions which is there, and they are able to perform the inventory count appropriately. That's the comfort you need for the control. Inspect the inventory by yourself and perform the test count. This is just for the control purpose. Once you have the count comfort on the control, and then you need to think of the final inventory records, like after performing all the counts and everything, whether they accurately reflect the final inventory count or not. Like if there are differences, then differences are adjusted or not. Okay, so that is the one thing, inventory count. What else? And it is not possible every time to conduct inventory count on 31st of March. Not possible to conduct inventory count every time at the 31st of March. Let's say you were able to conduct inventory count or management, also for management, not possible to conduct inventory count every time at 31st of March. So last inventory count, okay, conduct of inventory count, last one was on, let's say, 20th March 2025. This is the last count, and you have the records of that. Now the inventory balance is of 31st March. 31st March 2025. That is the balance of inventory in books on which you need comfort. How can you make sure the existence and condition on 31st of March is there? You have the records of 20th March. Till 20th March, the last count was done. After that, no count is done. How can you get the comfort from 20th March to 31st March?
We will from 20th March to any material is received based on the purchase. We will include the sales, we will reduce it. Based on that, we will check it.
Very good. Yes. So this is known as a roll forward procedures. Okay. What we do in the roll forward procedures, we add the purchases, we less the sale, and we get the inventory position based on this. Okay. And this is then category wise. So obsolescence, slow moving stock, okay, low value stock, high value stock, all these things category wise roll forward procedures are performed, and then you arrive at the balance. Based on this procedure, you arrive at the balance of 31st March, and then you verify. Similar way, let's say for example, last inventory count was performed on 2025, but not anything before that. So the nearest one I'm talking about, nearest inventory count. 24/4/2025. This is the nearest one. Now from the nearest, you need to go to this. That is here, like you are going back. This is going forward.
Roll
Here
back
you need to go back. So what you will do? Less purchase,
add
plus
sales.
and this is known as rollback procedures. Okay, rollback procedures, roll forward procedures that you do to bring back the inventory as of 31st March. Clear with this? So if the inventory, physical inventory count is conducted any other date, okay, conducted at date other than the date of FS, then you need to perform audit procedures to audit evidence about whether changes in the inventory between the count date and the date of financial statement is properly recorded or not. Simple. If it is on the any other date, do rollback, roll forward procedures and get the inventory on that date and get the comfort. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. Now there is one question. We talked about you need to attend physical inventory count. What if you are not able to attend? What if you are not able to attend? I'm not talking about this part, unless impracticable. No, I'm not talking about impracticable scenarios. I'm talking about you are not able to attend due to some unforeseen conditions. When I say unforeseen conditions, when I say impracticable, that means you want to attend, you are trying everything, but the scenario is such that you cannot attend. Simple example, inventory is lying in an area which is sealed by military because there's a war going on. Like inventory is lying near to border. So there was a bridge being constructed near to border. So there is some warehouse over there of a company. Now there is a war going on, some firing happening. There is a LOC breach and everything. Okay, ceasefire breach. And that particular warehouse or that particular area is sealed by military. You cannot go. That is impracticable. You cannot go there. If you even want, if you put all your money, still you cannot go and do a verification. So that is impracticable. But I'm talking about other than this, unforeseen conditions. For example, you are not well. Simple. You want to go, but you are not well. You cannot travel. What you will do?
Sir, we have to use the other auditors to ask them to go and verify the audit inventory count.
Okay. Okay.
If that is unable to, that is also failure, then in this case the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence is not obtained. In this case, the possible effect, we are not sure whether it is uncorrected or we are not sure about it. There is a limitation. Then we have to think the materiality effect, whether it is a pervasive or the single item. Based on that, we will give the report.
Okay. I'll take this particular example. Now you said like when you are not able to, because of unforeseen circumstances, let's say you are not able to attend, plus no other procedures can be performed. Okay, no other procedures can be performed, and without physical verification you cannot obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Simple. So without verification you cannot obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. What you will do? Simple as that.
Then we have to check that materiality effect, sir, whether the nature, whether it is a pervasive, the material is high. So example, if the 1,000 crore turnover, the material is high, then definitely we are not verified, we are not vouched that the possible effect, if it is a pervasive, definitely we will give that this, adverse opinion only.
Okay, adverse opinion. Let's say material but not pervasive. So qualified.
Yeah, definitely we will give the qualified because not tested. The appropriate and sufficient audit evidence is not received, which means definitely there is a qualified opinion.
I think it should not be qualified.
Hmm?
I think it should not be qualified report, sir.
Okay, then if not qualified, then what?
Because SA 200, 200 says that the matter of difficulty, time, or cost involved is not in itself valid basis for the auditor to omit an audit procedure.
Absolutely correct. Very good. So in this particular scenario, qualified opinion is not appropriate.
Exactly.
So in this particular scenario, qualified opinion is not appropriate because you are not able to visit. It is something missing from your side, not from the side of management. Sorry, you are not able to collect sufficient and appropriate audit evidence because of your issues. It's nothing to do with management. So in that case, if you say that I am not able to achieve the objective just because I don't want to apply the procedure or I cannot apply the procedure. See, difficulties and impracticability is different. Okay, SA 200 specifically says when there is an unforeseen condition or you call upon difficulties. Okay, so difficulties is not equal to impracticability.
Sir, right, sir. My question is that plus no other procedure can be performed, which means, see, when the auditor is unable to do that condition, okay, but he can use the other auditor, right? That is also fail.
See, in that case, if you are not able to see, now for example, I'll take an example. You are not well, you cannot travel and do the count. No auditor is ready to go on that particular location. Plus, the inventory records are of not that such nature that you can get the audit evidence from them. The only option remains is travel by yourself. Now, there could be a scenario, let's say you cannot travel because you are not well, and there is a due date, like say, they need to issue, the company is listed, they need to issue the based on the listing agreement and the predefined compliance date. At that point in time, it is not what you will do. You say, I cannot do because I'm not well. We don't have time. No auditor is ready. We cannot perform any other audit procedure. There is no option other than to qualify. But in that case, it is your capabilities which is getting impacted. So it comes that when we are taking or accepting the audit, we have to make sure that we are capable enough to perform the audit. If we say we are not able to visit, we are not well, and because of that we are not able to perform audit procedures, we are not able to gather audit sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, or we don't have any person to perform on our behalf, that's the issue on the capability.
Sir, then that is a case, the auditor is not capable of doing that audit. That
You
audit,
shouldn't
the
have taken at
time,
the first instance. Yes.
yeah, then the audit itself, the time and capabilities, time and resources and competence is not there. Then he should not accept the audit.
Yes, by accepting the audit, you have not only violated the provisions of the standard, okay, acceptance and continuance procedures, but also you are could be grossly negligent, professional ethics. Like there are scenarios. So in that case, when you are accepting the audit, when I talk about acceptance and continuance, you have to take it seriously.
Yes, sir. When he is grossly negligence, definitely the class 7 of the schedule 2, the we will attract.
So yeah. So in that case, when there are unforeseen conditions, either go on some other date, either send someone else, either perform additional procedures, but it is your responsibility to get the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Now, I'm not saying your responsibility to issue clean opinion. No, I'm asking you to get the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence to say whether there is a material misstatement or not. But for that, whatever you want to say, misstatement or not, no misstatement, but for that, you should have sufficient and appropriate audit evidence.
Yes, sir.
So,
That is
yeah.
true. But still, my question is that when he is the unforeseeable reason and condition, but is now no other procedure also done, then definitely he has to qualify the report, right? That is what my conclusion is. The reason
No,
is that he is not audit, but where he will give this information, this inventory, those lying in this area is not at all audited.
see, what is the reason for the qualification? When we issue a qualification, when we say we have a material misstatement, or when we say the possible effects of the unidentified material misstatement, when you issue a disclaimer of opinion also or qualified opinion because you don't have the data at that point in time, what do? You ask the data from management, you ask the data from those charged with governance, you inform them that after doing so much of communication, I'm not getting any information from you. That's why I'm saying the possible effects of the misstatement, because you have not given me the data, could be material. Now, in this case, management says that all data is ready, just go and verify. So you cannot say there is a possible effect of misstatement. No. What is your basis of qualification is even not present in this scenario. There is no misstatement, or there could not be a possible, misstatement, possible effects of misstatement, because management has the data. It's the thing that someone has to verify it.
Right, sir. In this case, then definitely he has to withdraw from the engagement. If he is unable to perform the audit, definitely he will think for that option. He will not give that qualified opinion because he is not verified. Unless otherwise he verify, then only he come to know there is a possible effect of whether it is a materiality is pervasive or the single item or the low. He
In
not
case of withdrawal, see, in case of withdrawal from the engagement, the first question comes is, like, when you took the audit, were you capable enough to perform the audit? So acceptance and continuance still apply. Acceptance and continuance is not something like, okay, you were the only person, and when you uh, got sick, you were not able to travel. So that means your assessment of capability was incorrect. You have to factor in all these conditions when you are accepting the audit, when you do the capability analysis.
right, sir. But on the initial time when he analyzed it, the timing, resources, everything is fine. And later on, after 1 year, the adequate resource is not there. They are not capable to perform that activity. In this case, no other procedure can be performed, which means that we cannot use the other auditor
So,
also.
okay, tell me one thing, why they cannot perform, why other people cannot perform? You are sick, why they cannot perform? What happened? What was the scenario, unforeseen conditions with all the people, that all the resources cannot perform? That is very, very rare scenario, very rare, and usually never happens. That all your team member, everyone is falling into the condition, unforeseen conditions at the same time. Sorry. Or else you should have planned the procedures well enough, and then you should have performed the rollback. Why to keep the inventory count till last date of the audit, so that you don't have any further time to perform an inventory count? So again, let's not deviate from the discussion. My point is that unforeseen condition and difficulties are not equal to impracticability, and you are not allowed to issue a qualified opinion when there is an unforeseen condition. It is that you need to perform other procedures. You need to perform other procedures. So just because unforeseen conditions, no, perform other procedures. You have to perform other procedures.
Right, sir. In this case, you rightly written that plus unforeseeable condition plus no other procedure can be performed. That is a reason I am came to conclusion that withdraw the engagement.
Yeah, so you have to perform other procedures anyhow. You need to get the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Means you can send another auditor. If he is not there, go on some other date. If that is also not possible, think of some other audit procedures. If not, then don't issue the opinion till the time your audit is not over, at least. There are ways. If there is a listing requirement, request them, please delay the audit, file for the delay, file for the at times in the like your with the stock exchange, you can say that you can ask for a delay, like some more time. That is possible. Do those procedures, take the responsibility, and get the audit completed. So that was with respect to the unforeseen conditions. So if there's an unforeseen conditions, perform the inventory count on some other date, or perform audit procedures on intervening transactions or something else. Do some other procedures. So you need to perform alternate audit procedures and obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence regarding the existence and conditions. Okay. Now, if it is impracticable, that's what I'm saying. If it is impracticable, if this is the condition and you are not able to perform any other procedures, then you can issue a qualified opinion. Then only you can issue a qualified opinion. Impracticability means a genuine impracticability. You cannot do, you want to do, but still you cannot do. Very rare case scenario, but yes, if there is an impracticability, you cannot perform the procedures, cannot get the evidence, qualify. Okay. And then if there is a inventory lying in the custody of third party, you need to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence with respect to the inventory lying with the third party. Either you request confirmation from third party or perform inspection or any other appropriate audit procedures to verify the third party inventory lying with the third party. That is something you need to do with respect to the existence and condition of inventory. Clear? This is the one particular part, and existence and condition of the inventory. Any doubt with respect to this one?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Now, the second part is completeness of litigations and claim. How will you ensure the completeness of litigations and claims involving the entity? What you will do?
Sir, can you repeat question?
So the question is, how can you ensure, how can you audit the completeness of the litigations and claims? Okay, Manish, very good.
Sir, we will check that the legal expenses in the profit and loss account, what are the expenses that they debited. Relating to that, anything is there, list is completed, or board meeting minutes of the meeting we can check, or
Now,
we
how
can.
can you verify, let's say, for example, let's say legal expenses. By testing legal expenses, how can you get the comfort on the completeness of the litigation and claims?
Sir, first we will get the list from the management. Then definitely, if whether the list is complete or not, whether the auditor is doubt, then definitely they will go for the expenses related to the legal, and also the minutes of the meeting, and also the communications received from the department, say letters, communication.
So my question is only to first point. We'll go one by one. How, by testing legal expense, you can get comfort on the litigations and claim, completeness of litigations and claim. Why legal expense testing will give you this comfort? Testing legal expense will you give comfort on the completeness of legal expense?
No, sir.
I am talking about litigations and claim. How it will give you comfort? Can anyone, if I can explain?
Then approach the legal team there within the company. We
And
will
we
get
can
a.
review order from the authority.
My question is only first part. Like, keep aside all the rest of the procedures: in-house legal counsel, external legal counsel, board meetings, minutes, orders. Keep aside. I'm not going into that. My only ask question is, by testing legal expense, how can you get completeness comfort of litigation?
By testing legal expenses alone, we cannot get the complete list, sir.
Then one of the procedures is that, see, again, when I'm performing any audit procedure, I have to be relevant. That has to be relevant for my purpose. How? I'm asking the relevance. Why testing legal expense will be relevant for the completeness of the litigations and claims? I'm just talking about the relevance. How it is relevant? Anyone? Just because it is written, we cannot, just say that, okay, we need to do it, it's written. There is a logic behind it. We need to see that logical connection, the relevance, why it is relevant. I have written legal expense. Tomorrow I can say marketing expense. You should review marketing expense to find the completeness of litigations and claims. I could have written marketing expense. Someone would have said marketing. Then would you test marketing? Just because it is written. You need to understand the logical connection behind it and why and where it is used. Okay, I'll tell you. When we review legal expense, I'll tell you how the review actually happens and why it is linked to the completeness part. Very good. Yes, Sanjay. So I'll give you and explain you with examples. Okay, let's say legal expense. I'll present some numbers year wise. Okay, year and amount. So let's say in 2020, the legal expense was 10 crores. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Like when I say 25, it is like 1920, 2021, 21, 22, like this way. Okay, financial year. So 10 CR, 12 CR, 12 CR, 14 CR, 21 CR, 16 CR, 38 CR. Now this is the data. What you can understand from this data? What you can understand from this data?
This is based on this understanding. The data is 2024-25. Its expenses is increased, like almost doubled.
So this has doubled. You did analytical procedures, that is trend analysis. Okay, and you understood the legal expenses has doubled. Now for this doubled kind of thing, or whatever percentage of increase it is, okay, XYZ increase, I'm not going in that. Okay, let's say for this doubled, you will go and do a grouping wise analysis. Grouping analysis is what? Or vendor wise analysis. Like let's say ABC and company was there, X advisors were there. Okay, then you will say Y advisors, like this way, blah blah blah, like okay, multiple legal providers. Now you will see graph of all. You will perform analytical procedures year on year. Let's say ABC was this much. Some was next year ABC bit increased, and then ABC bit increased. X advisors was something that increased drastically in 24-25. Now from here, X advisor has increased. Go and see the reason why it increased. Okay, so over there you can identify the reason of our increase. The first question comes is this because of the litigation? They have hired advisors for the litigation. If your answer is if yes, then whether the litigation is disclosed in FS. Now by this way, what you are doing is you are thinking of completeness. You are going towards the completeness of litigation. This is a one way. Second way, what I do when I do sample testing of legal, you have seen legal invoices, correct? Like invoices. So whenever I test invoice, let's say date, vendor, amount, okay, we have a description why this invoice is there. We map the sample description, let's say for appearance in High Court. Let's say this is written. I'll go to and ask in management what appearance they have, what matter. So I map it with the litigation. Which litigation it is, area of the litigation, open litigation, like this way. For example, let's say it's a direct tax litigation for assessment year 21-22. Now the question comes, disclosed in my testing, whether disclosed in financial statements, yes or no. By this way, for all these samples, I will go and check whether there is a underlying litigation to which this expenditure is done, and if yes, whether it is disclosed in the financial statement or not. So one way is a sample testing. Now, second way is analytical procedures. There is also third additional testing that we do. So let's say, for example, if we are doing the testing next year, means, for example, we are the auditors for the next year also. What we will do is we will pull out the last year's testing and we will see which vendor is tied to which litigation. So litigation vendor mapping. Okay. LVM, we call it LVM, litigation vendor mapping. We create that, okay, this is a vendor or this is particular the advisor. Some call it LAM, litigation advisor mapping. Okay, we create a litigation advisor mapping. We map the advisor litigation, okay, in a particular matrix. And then we will see in the current year which expenses are there. Has there been increase in the expense? For example, we know tax related matters, direct tax related matters, there can be new matters. For example, last year they were doing a litigation on the AY 21-22. There could be a new AY for this year also. So we are aware about that. We already do inquiry in such a way that we check what AY and which litigation it is, whether it's a new litigation or old litigation. If there is a new vendor not present in the matrix, we will first go why this new vendor. What is the reason behind it? Is it for a litigation? Which litigation? So this mapping, sample testing, analytical procedures will give you comfort on the completeness of the litigations and claims. When the standard says review of legal expense, this one, review legal expense accounts, that's what it means. This is how the litigations legal expense are reviewed. That's how you get the comfort. Very good, Hital. Yes, absolutely. So this is how the relevance and the logic is connected to the completeness of the litigation. Clear? Then there are, yes, other things you can do in inquiry of the management. Review the meetings, as you said. Confirmations with the external legal counsel. If you have a internal legal counsel in-house, then you will do an inquiry. If there is an external, then you will send the confirmation. Okay, direct communication to them. And obviously, see, you need to do a direct communication, not via management. Always do a direct communication. Prepare a letter of inquiry, send directly to them. Okay, and ask them to communicate directly to the auditor. If management refuses to give permission for that, okay, you cannot communicate, or you are not allowed to communicate with the external counsel. Okay, or if they refuse to respond, okay, to your letter of inquiry, and if you are not able to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence, in that case you are not left with any, option other than to modify opinion. But these are the things you can do to verify the completeness of the litigations and claim. Clear? Any doubt? This is the completeness of litigations and claim. Inquiry, minutes, legal expense, external counsel, direct communication. If not permissible, you are not able to gather additional information, not able to get sufficient and appropriate information, even after doing this, modify the opinion. Any doubts with this? Second point, completeness of litigations and claim involving the entity. Any doubt? No?
Sir, when the case, when we are sending, seeking the information from the external legal counsel, see that case, the management will prepare the letter, then we will send, then we will get it. Then if they are not able to provide the information, then can we write, say example, when we have the 15 line items in the litigation, They specifically, when we are writing and asking the information, they will supply it, right? When we are asking the general question, definitely they will not ask, because the company may have the 1,000 line items or 500 or 10 line items litigation, but it's very difficult to give all the information. When we are asking the specific information, they will be able to provide, right?
Yes. Yes. So in that case, see, what happens is when you do send out a letter to the external legal counsel, okay, uh, there are two ways to do it. One, sending an open-ended letter. Second, sending targeted letters, like asking them the specific information. Now the problem with the specific information is they will provide you specific response. If there is a litigation or claim which is not there in the books, you will also not come to know, and you will never send a letter for that. So in that case, you cannot verify the completeness. The only way is to send an open-ended letter. Tell me what litigations are going on. Simple. If you will send specific letters, you cannot. That will not be relevant for the purpose of your audit. So if there are 10 line items or 20 line items, 100 line items of the litigation, they have to reply in that way. Otherwise, how can you get the completeness? Here, if you ask them the specific one, which are already there in the books of accounts, you are just trying to check the accuracy of that particular line items, not the completeness.
Sir, in this case also, the company is providing 15 line items. Example, when you are asking the open-ended items, the external legal person not responding, which means they are not providing the information. In that case, can we rely upon that 15 items? Otherwise, when we are asking the 15 line items, we are sending the specific queries. If suppose all the 15 line items, they are showing the contingent liabilities, they provided the provision for its example. In that case, already the 5 line item already closed, but still they are showing. Then we are at least come to know that the line item is get reduced, right?
See, in that case, understand one. If they are not providing you line items, perform additional procedures like review the minutes, legal expense testing. Okay. Then there are letters from the authorities. You can go on the income tax portal to see the open items. You can ask a screenshot. Same appears on the GST. So now in today's time, you have multiple ways to gather alternate evidences. And alternate audit procedures are there to provide you the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence for those things. Okay. Even you like some, you can do, check of the cause list. If there is a case going on in some tribunal or some high court, go and check with the cause list or check with the party name, search with the party name, advocate name. Lot many ways are there to get the completeness evidence if the external legal counsel is not replying. Okay. Number two, if let's say for example 5 items which are shown as a completed by them, still management shows you, ask management why you are still showing. If they are disposed of, you have the final order, everything is closed, then why to show in contingent liability? If that is incorrect, then it's a misstatement. You need to modify the opinion. Ask them to correct it, otherwise modify the opinion. This is how you need to deal with these areas.
Right, sir. It is clarified, because now after getting they are not responding. The legal counsel, there is other possibilities. The further audit procedure we can do, like vouching the minutes of the meeting and those type of the call. What you discuss, yeah, that's appropriate, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Now the third part that I want to discuss is presentation and disclosure of segment information. How will you ensure the presentation and disclosure is appropriate? Pretty easy. Trust me, pretty easy. Pretty easy. Nothing difficult in this. How will you ensure the presentation disclosure is correct? Very good, Manish. The question itself contains the answer. If you read the point number C, it itself contains the answer. Very good, Chitra. Yes, according to the applicable FRF. So you need to understand what is the applicable FRF, what are the requirements of this FRF, requirements for segment reporting. Okay, understand this requirement first, and then compare the presentation and disclosure of segment information done by management with the requirements. So you have the requirements, understand that. First, understand which is the applicable financial reporting framework. From there, understand what is the requirement for segment reporting. And then see the presentation which is done by the management and the requirement which is there, whether they are matching or not. What else you can do? Simple, straightforward. Based on that, say that whether the presentation disclosure of segment is appropriate or not. No difficulty in that. Straightforward. So if I talk about understand the method used by management, like how they are determining segment information, how they are prepared, whether they are in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework. If you need to sometimes test the application. For example, management does bifurcation between segment based on some coding or something, some formulas or something. Go and check those methods, whether it is in the line with the applicable financial reporting framework. Is it appropriate? And if required, perform other audit procedures which are appropriate in the circumstances to validate whether the presentation disclosure prepared by the management is in line with the applicable account financial reporting framework or not. Simple. So that is your presentation disclosure of segment information. Straightforward. No doubt, no complexity involved. Any doubt with respect to the ABC, any area? Any doubt with respect to any of the area?
Now it is clear, sir. Thank you.
Okay. If no doubts, this was your standard 501. So we have done with the SA 500 and 501. Chart of SA 500 is given. Same way 501 chart is given. Very important, very beautifully drafted. Okay. You should go and read this chart. Again, it is inventory, litigation, segment information, everything is given for a quick revision. So that is your SA 501 and 500. Now in the next session, what I will be doing is I will be taking up external confirmation, initial engagement, opening balance, and audit sampling. So these are my target 505, 510, and 530 in the next session that I will be taking up. Okay. There is one question. If inventory is in transit, how can we perform procedures? See, inventory in transit, you need to review the documentation. When the inventory was sent, shipping documents, okay, cargo documents. There are a lot many documentation involved in that. So you can verify the shipping documents, cargo documents. When the inventory was sent, what is the transit time? For example, usually the transit time is by ships, it is more, but by rail or by air, it is very less. By road, very less. So let's say, for example, they have sent the goods by road. Okay, transit time is usually 8 days. Now, if the inventory is transit, which was shipped at the start of the March till 31st March by road, still in transit, that means an issue. So you need to think what is the transit time, average transit time involved. Nowadays, you have ways to check if there is a shipment, the ship is in which location, when it will reach the destination. Everything, every data is available. You can verify from that. For example, there is a cargo going on in this ship. You can go and check the status of this particular ship, live ship, where the ship has reached, at what date it will reach. So accordingly, we can figure it out in transit or not. Any other doubts?
Sir, if it is in transit, say example, as we discussed, we order the material, raw material on 30th March, but received on only the 2nd April. It is not necessary to include in the inventory, right, sir?
No, then you need to see where, what are the points where the ownership transfers. FOB, CIF, there are a lot many things involved. So accordingly, we need to check whether to include in the inventory or not.
Okay, sir. Up to the CA that free on board or the from the X factory level.
Yeah. So you need to think like what are the shipping conditions, ownership transfers. A lot of things are required to be checked in that, and accordingly we say that inventory is ours or not.
Right, sir.
Any other doubts? No. Okay then. If no doubts, then I would recommend you guys to read the chapter, read it in detail, and come with your doubts in the next session. I will be taking up 505, 510, and 530. Okay? Practice well. I'll see you in the next session. Thank you, guys. Thank you for participating today.
Okay. Sir, I think is that I confused it initially when you start up that 501 with the 802.
That both are different. Yeah.
Yeah, now I am very clear. Actually, I confused with that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that whole clarity, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night. Yes, sir. Thank you.